Generation 9 has been full of surprises, one of which is the fact that a couple of key OU staples of the past are now looked as almost as an afterthought, with the other new Pokemon coming in place to take over. In essence, this is what I call power creep in short, and it's been weird seeing our mainstay staples become worn down into the lower tiers. Things like Zapdos, Amoonguss, Tyranitar, Garchomp. Whoa, 50%. Whoa, Garchomp is at 50% usage in the UU tier? That is an incredible clip, and although it seems like a classic case of a powerful Pokemon taking advantage of its stats in the UU tier, there might be more to the story that you may or may not know. Before we dive in, I just want to say a huge shout out to my Discord members and the UU Council member Queen of Bean for helping me out on this video. This video seriously would not be possible without them helping out, so I thank them for that. Be sure to join the Chompy Discord to be part of future videos just like this, and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as many of you guys watching are not subbed. Thank you, and let's get started. For a while now, Garchomp had been struggling mightily in the OU tiers of premier offensive Pokemon, and even as a utility setter as the DLCs were rolling around, and it was especially accelerated with Gliscor's release. Garchomp is a fine Pokemon, but had notable key points that it was unable to jump over. For example, its base speed stat in OU was very awkward. It wasn't very slow where you had to take an account for, but it wasn't as fast as other hyper-offensive Pokemon such as Enamorus. But that was fine for some time, and Garchomp took up its role as a mainly utility surprising special attacker within the tier, primarily to catch off opposing Pokemon like physically bulky Pokemon such as Great Tusk, predicting its physically offensive sets as it usually did have. In any case, that niche role it had was all taken away through Gliscor's release because it was now a far superior ground type utility Pokemon that Garchomp could ever be. And this led now Garchomp to compete with Great Tusk, where it was obviously one of the best Pokemon for obvious reasons, Tinglu for good phasing and bulk and hazards, Landorus steering for Intimidate, and now Gliscor is a premier ground type all around wall. And with DLC 2's release with even more incredible power creep coming in, this just made Garchomp lose its only place in OU as a premier ground and dragon type Pokemon, and it fell down to the UU tier. And it's been a little over a month and a half since that, and while its usage suggests it's been an overpowering threat in the UU tier since the start, let me explain the really key nuances behind it. The thing that's been wholeheartedly a menace on the battlefield, particularly because of the ground types within the tier it has to compete against, are safe to say it's several tiers below what Garchomp brings to the table. Dragon and Ground is an excellent type combo that has allowed Garchomp to be super splashable amongst many teams. As said before, Ground is not a super saturated type like in OU, and Dragon, well, it is a clear-cut best when compared to Pokemon like Como and Hisuian Gudra. In any case, this type combo has allowed it to be super versatile and super splashable within the tier. Chomp can now take down threats such as Cornerstone Ogerpon, Iron Moth, and Pokemon like Iron Crown or Jirachi who resist its Dragon type moves as well. The Sword Stand set for Garchomp has been relatively super popular due to its versatility on offense, where its fourth moveset can be used to patch up any and everything your team needs. Sword Stance's Skill Shot has resumed its devastation from Generation 8's OU in the UU tier of this gen, and with its last moveset, it can fit things like Stone Edge for flying types like the aforementioned Zapdos or Tornadus, Substitute, Iron Head, Fire Fang, etc. Hazards in its fourth moveset is also a pretty good option if you know your opponent will switch out into a potential counter, thus it allows you to be effective at every turn possible with this Pokemon. But probably the biggest draw when it comes to Garchomp, well, yes, of course it can hit like a lot of the tier and for good damage, but it's now how it can hit a lot of the Pokemon for neutral damage pretty effectively with minimal Pokemon to really go against it. For reference, only Galarian Weezing is probably the best Pokemon to mitigate both stabs, but there is no other Pokemon that can do both effectively or resist both effectively in that manner. Counters such as Taunt, Icy Wind, Tornadus still has Stone Edge to fear, and other things like Mamoswine can't just sit around and eat EQs from this thing every turn. This is what makes Garchomp so feared, especially offensively on its Sword Stance set, where it has the offensive firepower to hit so hard once it gets going. And as mentioned before, with the fourth moveset becoming so versatile, it is almost virtually impossible for any singular Pokemon in the UU to firmly stop it like it was in OU. This is all without mentioning the ability to Terastallize and change your type, and Garchomp can do that at will to Steel, Fairy, or Fire to counter other Pokemon, or rather cover up any bad matchup weaknesses it may potentially have throughout competitive play and extend its life on the battlefield. Chomp as well has had its relative use in versatile utility / defensive chess piece for your side with natural good base offenses. It can pretty handily wall things like Iron Moth, Scissor, etc. because of its more dynamic defensive nature. physically bulky Chomp in essence can wall a bit more and punish users for physical contact with its rocky helmet and rough skin signature playstyle. Even now, special defense versions have been popping up in direct correlation of many special attackers to counter it, such as Scarlet or Zapdos, Dazzlingly Moth, etc. You guys get the picture. But to be fair, because of its lack of offensive firepower, things like Mamoswine as mentioned before, Azumarill, etc. are easy switch-ins to it and can give it a much more tough time offensively. This isn't to say that Tank Chomp just can't get the job done, no, of course it can, and one might argue might have more versatility on the defensive end combined with its offense compared to the Swords Dance set, but offense is the one thing carrying in its usage so far, so of course that comes with more issues if it's not prioritized properly. The point of bringing Tank Chomp up though is because it offers more of a nuanced look when we looked at Garchomp that forces opponents to look at more than one dimensionally. With its offensive arsenal already being so strong, its ability to fit on any team, etc. as well, Tank Chomp adds another dimension to opponents on the battlefield too. The dominance of Garchomp in the metagame so far in UU has been insane and something I'm glad to see as a personal Garchomp fan. In OU, there are so many a plethora of other dragon, ground types, etc. that do its job just maybe better or in some capacities in a way that it just cannot reach as an individual Pokemon. Time and time again through Gen 9, it struggled with that power creep and never really got to shine as it was intended with its pure hectic offensive firepower and reliable bulk, and now in UU, that opportunities come and has flourished while doing so in Generation 8's now Generation 9's OU-UU metagame. Let me know in the comments below though what you guys think of Garchomp so far in the UU metagame, and thank you to my members for their continued support. If you wish to support me even further, the link to my Patreon and YouTube membership are down below. Comment down below the shark emoji, and until next time, thanks for watching as always.